All right, let's jump right into this explainer and uncover the secret playbook used by pirates, dreamers, and innovators to completely dominate markets. We're looking at the groundbreaking concepts from the book Play Bigger. It reveals exactly why some companies shoot to absolute astronomical success, while others, even ones with incredibly great products, just kind of fade away into the background noise. We are going to meticulously break down the core principles of what the authors call category design. Because honestly, this isn't just about competing, it's about changing the rules of the game entirely.
So let's start with a bit of a mystery, right? What could a 1920s taxidermist named Clarence Birdseye, who was busy observing the Inuit people flash freezing fish on the ice in Labrador, possibly have in common with tech entrepreneur Travis Kalanick, who found himself freezing and incredibly frustrated trying to hail a cab in a 2008 Paris snowstorm? At first glance, absolutely nothing. But fundamentally, both of these moments sparked something revolutionary. You see, they didn't just look at an existing problem and think, hey, I can iterate on this. No, they looked at a frustrating, frozen reality and realized they could invent an entirely new space that made the old way of doing things completely obsolete.
Although what they actually have in common is they both became what we call category kings. These are those legendary companies that don't just enter a pre-existing market, they create a brand new one from scratch. And when they do, the rewards are absolutely staggering. Look at the data from U.S. venture-backed tech startups between 2000 and 2015. It shows a wild reality. Category kings capture a massive 76% of their market's total value. Think about that for a second. They take the lion's share of the market capitalization, and they leave literally everyone else to fight over the remaining crumbs. It's a winner-take-all game. Today, we are unpacking this exact framework, step by step, so you can learn how to play bigger yourself. We're going to cover the category king economy, why different wins, not better, the magic triangle, the from-to customer journey, and finally, spinning the category flywheel.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the category king economy.
Think about Uber for a second. It evolved from a simple freezing frustration in a snowstorm to a $50 billion empire in just a few short years. How? By methodically constructing and then expanding a massive new problem. Step 1, they framed the initial pain point perfectly. Standing outside trying to hail a taxi in the rain is a terrible, unpredictable experience. Step 2, they introduced a highly targeted solution. Just push a button and get a private black car. But step 3 is where they became kings. They expanded the category entirely. Their leadership started asking, what if transportation could be as reliable as running water? What if it was so accessible you didn't even need to own a personal vehicle anymore? By defining this enormous new category of on-demand personal transportation, investors weren't just paying for a phone app, they were literally paying for a monopoly over an entirely new category of human behavior.
Moving right along to Section 2, different wins, not better.
We hear so much about the holy grail of disruption these days, right? But disruption is actually just a byproduct of creation. Elvis Presley didn't set out to disrupt jazz, he created rock and roll. Legendary companies don't sell us better, they sell us different. It's a psychological thing. When you market a product as better, you immediately trigger a comparison in the consumer's brain. You invite intense scrutiny, and you're forcing yourself to fight an uphill battle in someone else's established territory. But when you introduce something completely different, you force the brain to comprehend an entirely new category. You replace our current point of view on the world with a new one, making what came before seem instantly outdated and super clunky.
And that brings us to the core concept of this entire explainer, category design. Let's actually break down this definition word by word, step by step, because every single part of this matters mechanically. First off, it says it's a discipline. What does that mean? It means this isn't about getting lucky. It's a deliberate, methodical, company-wide strategy. Next, it involves creating and developing a new market category. You are physically and conceptually building the space itself from scratch. And finally, the most crucial part of the sentence, conditioning the market so it will demand your solution. You literally have to train people to change how they think. You aggressively reveal a problem they didn't even know they had, or you show them that an old accepted pain point actually has a brand new cure. If you execute this conditioning right, the market itself demands the solution and crowns you as the king.
Okay, Section 3, the magic triangle.
Now, to actually radically improve your odds of pulling this off, you can't just lock yourself in a room and build a piece of software or a gadget. You must utilize what's known as the magic triangle. You have to design 3 distinct elements at the exact same time. They act like a 3-legged stool. If one of those legs is missing, the entire strategy completely topples over.
Let's walk through these three mechanics sequentially. Step 1, product design, is about purposefully building the actual solution to the problem. Step 2, company design, is creating the business model, the internal culture, and the specific point of view to fit that exact solution. And step 3, category design, is what we call the air war. It's the intentional public relations and marketing battle to condition the world to abandon the old and embrace the new. Think of Uber again. The sleek app itself was the product. The gig economy driver network was the company, and the entire concept of push-button on-demand transportation was the category. All three had to lock together perfectly, because if you leave that third piece to chance, well, a competitor or an industry analyst is going to design it for you, put you in a tiny little box, and you're going to lose your kingdom before you even start.
Let's get into Section 4, the from-to customer journey. So how do you actually convince a real human being to change their behavior? You have to take them on a from-to journey. In the business, they casually call these Frodos. Mechanically, you have to define the old, painful way of doing things and contrast it brilliantly with your new paradigm. Clarence Birdseye had to meticulously map out this psychological journey. He didn't just invent a freezing process, he had to condition 1920s housewives to transition from eating mushy, unappetizing canned spinach to enjoying vibrant, flash-frozen vegetables that actually tasted fresh out of the garden. He ran specific ad campaigns demonstrating this exact shift. Uber did the exact same thing. They moved us from standing perilously in freezing traffic waving an arm to sitting warmly inside watching a private car arrive on a digital map. You've got to articulate that from so clearly that the customer becomes utterly desperate to get to your to. And that brings us to our final part, Section 5, spinning the category flywheel. Once a company totally dominates its initial category, they don't just sit back and coast. When a company achieves scale, as Mark Zuckerberg once pointed out, they gain the power to solve bigger problems that will actually shape the world over the next decade. This is the mechanical spin of the category flywheel. First, the product succeeds and perfectly conditions the market. Second, this initial dominance brings in massive user adoption and capital. Third, the company uses those exact resources to broaden the category entirely. Think about Facebook going from simple college directories to connecting everyone on the internet to shaping global connectivity itself. Because they designed the product, company, and category together perfectly, every single success feeds into the next, creating a compounding effect of massive proportions.
But hey, remember, these principles aren't just reserved for flashy Silicon Valley startups aiming for $50 billion valuations. You can absolutely apply category design directly to your own career by following these exact same steps. Step 1, identify a missing element or a gap in your organization. Step 2, frame that gap clearly for your boss and your peers, conditioning them to recognize the actual pain of it. Step 3, prove that your unique skills make you the absolute only solution. Instead of just trying to be a better employee fighting in an existing track, you methodically design your own category, making yourself completely indispensable.
So I'm going to leave you with this somewhat provocative thought as we wrap up this explainer. As you look at your own professional life right now, the projects you're working on or the business you're trying to build, are you actively designing your own category, or are you just sitting around kind of waiting to be disrupted by someone who is? In the modern economy, dumb luck is for sure not a viable strategy. Play bigger, design the category, take the crown.